Last Christmas, if I'd have asked you the question, what worries you or scares you? It's quite likely the answer would have been spiders or snakes or, I don't know, maybe even Brexit. 12 months later, your answer is likely to be very different and probably begins with C. It was the same for that shepherds before that night. What they might have been scared of before that night, wolves, bears, snakes maybe, it's unlikely to have been angels. But that was what they experienced, and that's what scared them. Something that would never even have crossed their minds before. Now, I can't think there were many of us worried about global pandemics before 2020. The similarities between the experience of those shepherds and us is closer than we might have imagined. And the angels, of course, met them with the words immortalised in the carol while shepherds watched or washed, whichever one you prefer. "Fear not," said he, "for mighty dread had seized their troubled minds." These were words written more than 300 years ago about shepherds in a field who'd been there some 1700 years before that. But they could have been written for 2020. For mighty dread had seized their troubled minds. I doubt there's anyone watching who can honestly say they haven't had a troubled mind at some point this year. Moments of loneliness or isolation, normality snatched away from you, uncertainty as to what might be next. And dread? Well, I defy anyone who spent much of the year on Zoom to say they didn't have a moment when they dreaded the thought of another Zoom call. Maybe you still do. Or the moment that someone with a mask on says hello to you, a mighty dread comes over you as you try and work out who it is. Or more seriously, the dread at the thought of another day in the house, or not seeing your loved ones, or the possibility that you could catch the virus, or even worse. And so we were reminded again of the first words of the angel. Fear not. Do not be afraid. This wasn't the news that the angels had come to bring. That was something just a touch more important. But it was the first thing that they said. And the presence of God in the form of an angel dispelled fear. And what I love in this account of a bunch of lowly shepherds is that as the story progresses, the nearer they get to the presence of Jesus, the more peace they experience, the more their anxieties fade. That's not to say they understood it all, far from it, I expect. But it became an experience that I expect they would have talked about positively afterwards. Let's face it, this year's been a shocker. And yet, in the midst of fear and anxiety, I believe we've all been given a fresh opportunity to experience the gift of peace that only comes when we give everything to God. Peace beyond our human understanding, as the Bible puts it. So don't be afraid this Christmas. Let Him give you the gift of peace.